Hey, good evening. It's me again. It's me again. I wanted to just share with you something that happened to me this week that I thought was worthy of sharing. Look, I just want to say that I think I've come to realize that I may not always believe that the three things and three ways of how you need to, tips thing is thing. Because maybe I actually just think that easy, pre-digested, consumerable content may not always be the best thing for us. And besides which, it's really just not what I really want to say most of the time. So this is going to be a story of a buddy, and then followed by my thoughts on who you need, how to get a buddy, and what you really need in a buddy relationship. I've been gifted this week with some wonderful interactions with some buddies of mine, professional buddies. I guess all of them have also become personal friends, but largely this week has been a bunch of professional buddies who have come by my side and been very generous because the Center for Effective Living is about to take a massive leap forward in some new ways of doing things, and quite frankly, it's petrifying. It's kind of terrifying. And I have had an email today that I haven't replied to. So if my buddy watches this, hands down, the answer to your request is yes, of course. Yes. I just haven't emailed you back because it's after hours. I don't want to check my email. It's my day off tomorrow, but it will be a yes to what you've asked me. And the email was a lovely email that said, that they had done an exercise, and the exercise was that they were asked to look around. Hey there, Katerina. You, of course, are my best buddy, personal best buddy. And the email was that about an exercise they had done, which was to look around the table and to fill that table with the people who had really made an impact in your life. And the email said, when I looked around the table, I realized that your smiling face was there, and there was a request made of me as a result of our buddy relationship. This buddy relationship is pretty significant because, so here's the first thing, is how to get a buddy. I had realized several years ago that I was lacking in some research. I was looking for a particular way of doing things, and I could not find the answer to my question. And I asked around through my networks, and I said, who would be the best person to actually help me to figure this thing out? And a name was mentioned, and I actually reached out. I just cold called this person. That was also the year I emailed a bunch of psychologists through a Google search, and I actually reached out to every single, almost, psychologist that was on the first page. This buddy of mine was not on the first page. And I reached out, and they said, I would love to meet. And the first time I met this buddy of mine, they were waiting outside of Coles with their bag, and we sat down, and it was, there was a very formal sort of a thing, and they brought out their research and a folder of papers for me to read, and took me through their research, and away we went. And that relationship just then became a frequent exchange of information and connecting with one another for me to find out about their research, and really for them to figure out how they could operationalize their research. So how to get a buddy? Well, you identify, first of all, what are some of the areas that you're looking to journey with someone, and then you network and you ask other people, and then you make frequent contact to the point where you decide whether this buddy relationship is going to work. Beware. You need to take some time to figure out who is going to be the sort of buddy that you can work with. Not everybody is a good fit, which brings me to the next point. What do you actually need in a buddy? Number one, hands down, you need a buddy that's going to push you. You need a buddy that is going to push you. My good friend Buddy, who contacted me this week, pushes me in the most gentle way, but they do not let me get away with shortcuts. They do not let me get away with sloppy thinking. In the early stages of crafting some processes within my work, it took a process of almost 3 years before my buddy was happy to, I think, say, we've got it, Valerie, we've got it. and it was coffee shops in Victoria and coffee shops in Sydney, and back then we didn't really know about Zoom and Skype conversations, where we just calibrated, we exchanged reports, we exchanged the way we analyze data, we exchanged the framework, and they pushed and they pushed. No, not good enough. Keep thinking. I don't agree with this. And we frequently probably don't agree with one another because we come from different disciplines. We're both psychologists, but we come from different disciplines in psychology. So you need a buddy who is going to push you, right? Because you actually don't want someone who is not going to tell you the truth, because then you will not grow and you will be cemented in your shortcomings and your shortcuts and your heuristics. So you need a buddy who's going to push. Number 2, you need to tell your buddy that you want them to push. I wish I could share with you my coaching relationships. It's in a confidential space, but there is one particular person whom I have a coaching relationship with, and I wish I could tell you how many times in our coaching relationship, every call, this person says, push me on this, Valerie, push, and we push. So you need to tell your buddy that you are willing to be pushed, and you need to be ready to be pushed. Number 3, you want a buddy who is generous. This is where the bartering and the exchange of information and the think tank environment comes in. So let me just say the next point, you need a buddy that's not going to compete with you in a nasty sort of way. They need to be comfortable around you. They need to believe in you. They need to celebrate, when you make a breakthrough and when you run that distance and you get that goal. But you do need a buddy who is generous. And this buddy of mine who contacted me has a doctorate. I do not have a doctorate. I will get a doctorate, but I do not have a doctorate. But this buddy of mine has spent years educating me, because they pretty much gave me their entire PhD and their entire reference list, and told me I had to read these, and I've read a fair whack of it. And so over the years, we've exchanged instruments, we've exchanged information really freely. So you want a buddy who is generous, whom you can have a free flow exchange of information with. I've already said the other point, someone who's not going to compete with you, as in, then there's a dishonesty in the relationship, right? If you have someone in your professional world whom you are entrusting with yourself, and there's an element of, I'm not saying competition is bad, I think it's good to have a degree of, I hold the bar here, come catch up, and then we push together. But someone who actually isn't honest in their relationship with you and who's actually feeling either threatened or jealous or annoyed or resentful, that's probably not going to make a great buddy. So those are some of my thoughts as to how you get a buddy and who you want as your buddy, and how important it is to think about that space in your world, because very often when you're about to do new things, or when you're trying new things, and you might get an element of self-doubt, or you might get an element of something's missing, something's not quite there, and you want someone who's at the same level at you, who looks together at the picture and says, I think that's the missing puzzle. How about we go and find out how to fit that piece of the puzzle? So it's a fantastic relationship to have, because they keep you grounded, they keep you motivated, they keep you in a space where you're feeling like you're not alone, but they're also sharpening you. So iron sharpening iron. A mentor, a coach, or a buddy. That was my story of my buddy. Okay, see you later.